Now that our model has the windows and doors, now we can focus on the steps and these flower beds and railings. So to do the steps, I am going to make sure I'm in object mode. I'm going to add another cube. And then I'm going to drag this cube right in front of the building. And then I'll start scaling it down. I'll scale on the Z to bring it all the way down to like the size of one step, and then I'll scale on the X. Okay, then I need to make sure that it is an appropriate width for my steps to go down. It might be a little bit too tall and definitely too long, so let me start by scaling it on the Y. Okay, that should give me a good starting point for my first step. Now, to make each additional step, I'm just going to do a loop cut on this. So I'm going to go into edit mode, Control R, decide how many steps I want. I think that probably looks reasonable. Then go into face select mode, select the first one. I'm going to extrude that up until it is, oops, didn't mean to do that. Let me get a front view here, and then I'll extrude it up so it is level with that plane. If you don't get it exact, you just grab it and drag it the rest of the way. And then continue that for each of these. Once again, it would be easiest to probably know exactly how big we wanted each of these. But since we're just kind of eyeballing it, I can extrude them, then I can use the grab tool to adjust these to a size that I like. Okay, so I think that looks decent. Now let's look at the railing. So for the railing, that's going to be a cylinder, but the question is going to be, how do we get it coming out, then going down? I'm not going to do all these individual rails. You'll get an idea how to do this when we do the one support down here. But I'm going to go back into object mode to import another cylinder. Then I'm going to get a side view, grab my cylinder, drag it up here somewhere, scale it way down, then rotate it on the, this will be on the X, I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Then I'm going to grab it, bring it down about where the door be, then go to the front view so I can make sure that I'm actually putting it in a reasonable place. That's still way too big of a railing, so scale it down even more. Okay, I think that looks good. So that's going to be where I start my railing. So now I'm going to go back into edit mode. I'm going to go into face select mode, select this face. I'm going to grab it and pull it out a little bit. So this will be kind of that part that is the top rail for that top step. So I can probably bring it a little bit more so it's like lined up close to where that top step is. Now I need the part that's going to go down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit E to extrude it. That face was still selected. Then, without deselecting anything, I'm going to hit G to grab, because it's going to be grabbing that face that I just extruded. I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to pull it down. And it's going to be best if I am looking at this straight on from the side. So I'm going to do Control 3, so I'm looking at that side. And actually, I guessed pretty well. I want to make sure this is kind of parallel to the steps. So yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so there's my downfall. I didn't hit Z to constrain it so you can see what just happened. So I'm going to undo that. Grab it again, hit Z to make sure I'm only going up and down. Okay, it looks good from that angle. And there we go. Now it's actually going straight down instead of off at a weird angle. Now that I've made that one, I can go back into object mode, Shift D, duplicate it, drag it over here. Let me go straight on view so I can make sure that it's lined up well, and then let me go to the side view and make sure it's back touching the building. Okay, so there's the two railings, but now I need something here to connect them to the ground. So it's going to be the same idea where I need to do a cylinder, and I'm going to then extrude that up to intersect with those. So I'm going to go back into object mode, which I already am in. Shift D, create another, Shift A, create another cylinder. Grab it, drag it over here, scale it way down. I'll view it from the top this time to grab it and throw it right underneath one of these. I'll scale it down even more. View it from the side, make sure that it's starting at the ground. Okay. Then I'll go back into edit mode, so tab, edit mode, 3 to select a face. I'll select that face and extrude it up. Make sure I confine it on the Z, and then I'll just drag it up until it intersects. Go back into object mode and see what that looks like. Okay, it looks like from the front view, I should probably grab this and drag it over just a little bit. Okay, it doesn't look too bad. Now, if I were making this an actual model that we're going to be zooming way in on, I'd probably want to clean this up a little bit. I'd probably shrink this down. If you want to make the additional ones, you definitely need to make them even smaller, because those little support bars are always a little bit smaller than the main one that's supporting it. But once again, for a model that's going to be in a game or an animation where it's just kind of viewed from the distance, that really doesn't look too bad. So what I need to do now is select it, Shift D again to duplicate that one, drag it over here, see how that lines up. Looks like it's pretty good. There's our railings. Okay, so now the flower bed. So for the flower bed, I'm going to, in object mode, do Shift A, add another cube, scale it down a little bit, and then scale it on the Z especially. And then I'll view this from the top, grab it, line up about where I want it, scale it in some. Okay, once I have it a size that I like, then I think I could probably drag that up a little bit, make it a little bit taller. So I'll go into edit mode, face select, G, grab, Z, confine to the Z axis, drag it up just a little bit so my flower bed is maybe about that tall. Let me go into one and go back to object mode and grab and move the whole thing up to make sure it's kind of level. There we go. Then I'm going to go back into edit mode. I'm going to select the top face. I'm going to hit I to inset. I'm going to inset that a little bit. Then face select mode. I'm going to E, extrude it down. Now I could do an empty flower bed and put stuff in, or if I bring that back up a little bit, then that layer could be the dirt and I can apply like a dirt texture to it. It's entirely up to you how you decide you want to do that. Then going back into object mode, I'll select that whole object, Shift D, drag it over to this side, and there we go. I've got my two flower beds. Now one last thing before I move on to the styling. I have not added these lamps in. You could add those in with little cylinders the same way we did the railing. But I do want to add this little awning. It's not much of an awning, but you can see there's just a little bit of one there. So that should be a quick, easy add. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into edit mode. Well, first make sure I select the building, then go into edit mode. And I am going to go into face select. I'm going to select this face. I'm going to do the Shift D because it makes sense that this would be a part of the building and not a separate object. Shift D, then I'm going to scale it down, and specifically I want to scale it along the x-axis to maybe something like that. And then I'm going to grab it, drag it down some. It looks like I need to, let me go under front view, zoom in. I need to scale it on the Z-axis a little bit as well. There, that should be good. Then I can hit E to extrude it. And there we go. Now we have a little awning, kind of like what you see right there. So now we're ready to start doing the materials and colors.